Onward.
Welcome.
What's up? Welcome back to another episode of the Blockument. Crypto education through everyday conversation.
Ooh, the flow.
I am your host, Nate Talbot, Executive Director of Detroit Blockchain Center. And to my right...
Let's hear the adjective.
...is the well-learned...
Ashley Rose. I didn't know if there's more to that. Sometimes he's got like additional adjectives.
Yeah.
Yes, I am Ashley Rose. I am your everyday mother. I'm an online reseller, and I am on a journey to figure out what in the heck is all of this crypto, blockchain, Bitcoin stuff. Like, what is it about? What's it up? What's up? Do we need it? Why do we want it?
So we've been doing this for like a year now.
Yeah.
Why don't you know everything yet? What am I doing wrong?
There's too much to know, and it's growing exponentially. Things are changing. New things are coming.
Yeah, it is growing exponentially fast.
Yeah, faster than I can keep up, but...
I tell people all the time, I remember a time when, and this wasn't that long ago, this is like 2016, 17, when this is sort of how I built my reputation in the space, because I knew there wasn't something you could mention in the space I didn't know something about, right? No subject area expert in every single detail, but I knew pretty much about everything happening. Man, I couldn't do a tenth of that today. This space has gotten so much bigger and broader, and there's so many more things to know.
Yeah.
It is literally a full-time job just to keep up on the most highest level, just to be able to be like, I've sort of heard of something about that area.
Right.
You know, people used to ask me about any kind of token. They'd be like, hey, you know about this token? I'm like, yeah, that's this, or that's this, or that's that. Or, that's interesting. I'm like, you heard of that? Who got time to even? No. I know about 5 of them.
No, but Google does. No,
Yep. That's why I learned how to do your own research is best. Because, you know, it's like you can get read to, or you can learn how to read.
And we have an episode on that.
Yeah, so go check it out. But what block time is it?
Yes, before we go off.
Before we go off.
It is block height 815,456.
Okay.
That block size was 1.7 megabytes, which was 3,718 transactions.
Nice.
And the total subsidies and fees for this block that were won are 6.707 Bitcoin. And that equals 234,216 US dollars. Whoa. And the miner is unknown.
Unknown. Congratulations to you, because that probably means...
It's just like a Joe Schmo?
It's probably some kind of Joe Schmo.
Whoa!
So it's either a solo miner. I mean, it might be a large solar miner. It could be a miner who... still have a $1 million operation, but they're not a public. They just don't push their business out there. So we don't know who it is.
Cool.
Or it could have just been some schmuck with one miner using it as like a space heater, and they won it. So
do you think it was? We have one. Do you think it was us?
It could have been. You might want to check your wallet.
Yeah, shoot.
So congratulations to the unknown. That's something to celebrate.
Yeah, that was kind of fun.
Yes. All right. That's where we are. Where they're going to, and they got it while it's good, because, you know, the halving's coming up. And that means for this block, their total rewards would actually be closer to $120,000.
Yeah, but that's assuming the price stays the same.
Assuming the price stays the same, but if this block was won, because why is that? Why was the price dropping down? Why is the subsidy dropping down?
Because of the halving. So you receive half of the amount of Bitcoin for winning the block as your reward.
Correct.
Is that what you're looking for?
Yep. Okay. You're not going to have your 6.25. You're not going to have that 6.25 Bitcoin. You'll have 3.125. The maths.
Yeah.
So if the price doubles, then the amount stays the same.
Right. Yep. Which we're all hoping for.
But you don't have to hope. And maybe we should maybe we'll do closer a halving episode. But you don't have to hope. This is the economics of it. All you need is for the exact same amount of people who are interested in Bitcoin today to be interested the day after the halving.
And then what? It will double?
And then the price probably by nature will generally double.
With only retaining the same number of people.
Yes, you don't need any new entrants.
For real?
Yeah. I mean, if there's 5 people, right, who all have a demand, and you have 5 more people who sort of have a demand, but they're the miners. So you got 5 miners and 5 other people who just use it for whatever reason, speculation or whatever, right? The miners need to pay their bills, right?
Yes.
Right now, they're making 6.25 Bitcoin to pay their bills plus any fees. We'll ignore the fees for right now. So they got 6.25 Bitcoin.
Right.
And the halving happens that day after, right? Well, how do the miners make their money? They get the 6.25. The electric companies don't take Bitcoin.
Right.
They have to convert it to whatever their local currency is.
Right.
So they have to sell it to somebody. That's what you have these 5 other people for.
Okay.
Right? Those people need it for whatever other reasons they want it for. You drop the supply in half. Now you only have 3.25 or 3.15. Right? 3.125, whatever the maths.
The numbers.
These 5 people still want that 6 demand. That their needs don't cut in half.
Yeah.
But there's only half the amount of Bitcoin left.
Right.
So it's not like they can still get the same amount, which means they have to pay more. It becomes a bidding war. I need
Because
more.
the supply goes down.
The supply cuts. This is very basic supply and demand. The supply cuts in half. The demand stays the same.
Yeah.
But the supply is cut in half. The demand can't be met anymore. Right? So the people who are demanding it either need to walk away entirely.
Right. Or pay more.
Or pay more because it's the ones who use it the most, the ones that have the greatest need for it, will pay more for that product.
It's so simple when you say it like that, but...
And then the rest of the market starts to see this natural price progression, and they don't understand basic market economics.
Right.
And so they get into speculative territory, and they want to buy it up because they see number go up.
Right.
And this is why you have these cycles. This is one of the key reasons you have these cycles where it flatlines, like it's been flatlining for about a year, Bitcoin, right? Then it shoots.
You mean plateauing?
Plateaus like crabs. The price just stays
line,
flat.
I don't know why it sounds like...
Dead? Yeah. No, it's flat. It just... There's not much volatility there.
Okay.
It just goes, and then the halving happens, the supply cuts in half, the demand just has to stay the same, right? And then, boom, you shoot up. But when the price shoots up, the demand actually grows because people see the number go up.
Right.
The supply is still
and then
limited.
It just kind of like...
And it overshoots. It's why you have these prices, the plateaus, the shoot up, the drawdown.
Oh, that's so interesting.
A plateau, a shoot up, a drawdown. And those shoot ups get smaller and smaller because the supply shock gets less and less.
So it shot up with those new people, and they don't understand. So then the people who bought, like maybe when it was down here, are like, woohoo, like it's so high, we're going to sell it. But then these guys are left holding their little bag.
Well, some are left holding bags. And, you know, what really happens is you have those 5 people who needed it. Some get priced out of the market because they didn't have a really good product. So when the supply shock happens, they just can't survive. But there's still not enough. So the price shoots up. Speculators come in. But the rise of speculator brings in new people who want to build businesses. So you have a big price come up. Then it wears out. It exhausts itself because the supply and demand gets thrown off. And you see a correction. And you have new regulars who stick around, and hodlers, or hodlers will say, or users. They stick around. Some people who were trying to speculate, some cashed out and made dollars. I'd say they lost value, but they made dollars. Other people still hold. They stay for the revolution. People stay for whatever. And that's why you see this going on.
Oh, okay.
That's one of the reasons. You know, it's the game theory of it, but it's a little bit more complex. But that's not even the topic of today's show. What are we talking about today?
Do we need decentralized social media?
Decentralized social media.
Yes.
Can you define decentralized social media for me?
No.
Okay.
I don't know. I guess my stab at it would be a social media owned by the people who use it, and I think it would be nice if maybe like we own our own data and our own like internet footprint. I don't know if that makes sense.
I would ask, why don't we own our own data now?
Because we click that box when we sign up that says, do you agree to our user terms? And we're like, sure, take my soul. And then we click it, and then now Facebook owns it, or somebody else owns it. Yeah.
Okay.
That's my assumption. I mean, I don't know if that's like true or not, but that'd be what I guess.
And when you say decentralized media, I just want to fully grasp your question so I don't go after the wrong vector here. What does that really mean? Does that mean we're living in a world right now where the word decentralized has sort of been hijacked, right? And sort of misappropriated. So do you really mean decentralized, like widely distributed, or do you mean like with something built on a blockchain or crypto-based system?
Well, that's what I'm not sure about, because I have questions about that too. I have a question of like, what would a social media built on a blockchain, what would that look like? And when I know what that looks like, then I guess I would wonder, like, is that something that we would even need or want?
Okay.
And then I guess as far as decentralized, I feel like it would be nice to be able to have, I don't know if like voting power would be like what I'm looking for here, but like, yeah, just like we own it. And so like for us people to own it, wouldn't we have to also like contribute to running it? I don't know. But I don't know. These are assumptions and questions.
Part of the things of being an owner, right? Everybody wants to be a homeowner until they have to fix their roof or furnace.
Yeah, it's true.
So I think the best way is let's take a step back, a large step back. Why don't we own it now? Right? What is it about? So social media, right? If we, just to be clear on things, we're defining these digital networking hubs empowered by the internet communication protocols, right? That allow communities of people who are not geographically near each other to communicate.
That's a lot more words than I would have used to describe it.
But
I would just call it like a piece of technology where we can host a profile of who we are and what we believe we represent, and share and have community with the people of the world.
All right. So
do you think that was the same definition as yours?
Sort of. Mine just was
technical as heck.
Technical, right?
Yeah.
So a digital representation of ourselves.
Essentially, yes.
Okay.
And
then the communities and social networks that we. All right. So again, why don't we have that now? What is the internet? What did the internet really empower? Right. And the internet's just a communication protocol. It allows two or more computers to talk to each other. And because the computers can talk to each other, we can talk to each other via our computers.
Okay.
Right? In the internet, we're gonna ignore, for any of our low-level sleuths, and that means like they dig deep, right?
Okay.
We're gonna ignore like the 5 eyes, if you know what that means.
I don't know what that means.
If you don't know what it means, ignore it.
Yeah.
We're gonna ignore the core backbone infrastructure of the internet. In general, the internet is decentralized already, right? It allows any two computers to talk to each other as long as you can connect the two computers through a physical wire, through some kind of wireless communication.
Okay, let's see where this goes, because
That's the internet. That's just what that is. And it allows you to communicate through it. Emails was the first communication protocol.
Can I ask a question? If the internet is decentralized, why?
Did somebody just answer? So now finish my thought.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask, if the internet is decentralized, how is it possible that we can't just access it. We have to like pay to access it. We have to go to like a Comcast or like a Xfinity to access it. And I think the answer is because it's not open source. Is that correct?
No, the internet is the core functioning parts. Every part of the internet that we use is open source.
So then why can't I just like, I don't know, go find the internet and plug into it?
Why can't you?
No, that's what I'm asking you. Like, why can't you? Like, is there like a internetlocations.com? Like, can I type it in my GPS? You know, like, I don't know. Like, I don't get it.
It's because you're lazy.
It's not because. You mean if I Google that, the answer?
Don't feel bad. I also don't start up my own internet network. Well, we're working on starting up our own internet networks, but yeah, I also haven't done it in the past or use my own email servers or host my own websites because I'm lazy as hell. That's why.
Right.
We're lazy.
Oh, I see. Convenience. Is that what you're getting at?
That's what I'm getting at.
And convenience is a fancy word for lazy?
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Okay, perfect. I will accept that.
Yeah. Literally, if you wanted to start a network, your own internet, all you have to do is find other people. An internet of one doesn't really work. That's just a computer, right?
But like, is the internet just like in the air and you just like...
No, the internet is... I just told you what the internet is. It's two computers that can talk to each other. That's all.
Okay.
That's all the internet is. It's not more complicated than that.
Okay.
The internet is a network of computers talking to each other. You only need two. So just think of your own neighborhood.
So you have a computer.
If you want your own neighborhood to have its own internet, you start with your computer and you find a neighbor and you say, hey, I'm going to connect my computer to your computer, either through a physical wire, that little Ethernet cable, or you can use a wireless protocol.
Like a Wi-Fi?
Well, like a LTE or 5G or some other, because the Wi-Fi still gets plugged in at the end of the day, right?
Okay.
But sure, you could Wi-Fi, you could do a wireless network. Any way you can do a wireless network. That's not the important part. As long as you can make your computer talk to your neighbor's computer, you two now have an internet, and you can share files, you can talk directly, you can message each other, you can do everything you can do today. But it's just with you and your neighbor.
Okay.
Then you get a third neighbor and a fourth neighbor and a fifth neighbor, and all of a sudden you have this little internet network.
Yeah.
A mesh of these computers. You could build that out to a neighborhood scale, a city scale,
that's breaking my brain.
a national scale.
So, wait. So, like, if we started a network with me and my neighbors, could we access Google?
Maybe. You're sort of jumping up. What is Google?
Like a search host.
It's a search engine, right?
Yeah.
What is it searching?
The internet.
Yeah. Do you think Google, you would have to talk to Alphabet, the company that owns Google. You can get them to come in. I'm sure they would charge you, but you can get them to come in and index all of your computers. It's just an index. It's just looks at all the communication that you guys have shared, all the websites
But it would
you've
only
shared.
look on, let's say, like our 6-person network.
Well, yeah, if you ran it locally, yes.
So then that's like inefficient, I feel like.
Well, it's inefficient. It is inefficient. And I think you're misconstruing what Google really is.
Probably.
What happened is, because of the
Story of my life.
inefficiencies, this is how the internet was born. And I swear we're going to get to social media within 5 minutes.
Yeah, sorry. He just likes to break my brain all the time.
Well, it's important to understand the core so you can understand the advanced stuff.
Yeah.
So, for an example, search engines like Yahoo and AOL and eventually Google, right? They saw an inefficiency. People went on the internet so they could get information without having to go look it up in the library, go actually physically talk to people, go wherever to get the information. They could do it from the convenience of their own homes, right? But how do I find the information I'm looking for? So Google, or any search engine, all the search engines came along and said, well, here's what we'll do. It's all open.
Right.
Once you put it out on the internet, anybody connected can see it. Right?
Okay.
So remember, it's just your personal computer at your house. That's another name for your personal computer that's connected to an internet is called a server. All right? That's all a server is. It's just a computer.
Okay.
All right?
Okay.
So your server, your computer, you have a bunch of files. And you're like, these ones I want to keep private. I don't want anybody to know this stuff. But in this folder, right, this folder on my server, on my computer, I want to share with anybody who wants to read it. I've wrote my own diary, my blog, right?
Okay.
I want people to read it.
Okay.
I'm going to put it in this folder. Anybody who wants to, and then here's an address, right? Go to myblog.com, and it'll points to that folder and that blog that you just wrote. This is how the internet works.
Okay.
Google comes in and says, well, Nate wants to read Ashley's blog, but he doesn't know how to find it. I know how to find all the stuff. I'll go find it all, put it in a database, and when Nate says, I want a blog from Ashley, well, I'll be like, well, there's Ashley's blog. Here it is. It's
So
like the
Google
yellow pages.
is like the GPS of the internet.
It's like the yellow pages of the internet. GPS, I guess you could think of it.
No, because yellow pages store the information. Does Google store the information?
No, the yellow pages don't store the information. The yellow pages point you to the information. They say, here's the phone number, here's the address.
Okay.
Go there.
Oh, okay.
That's what Google's doing. Here's the phone number, here's the website address. Go visit them. Google doesn't store the information.
This is really a revelation.
Computer stores the information.
Okay.
Your computer stores the information. Right? Google points to it.
I get, yep.
Just like a business of the yellow pages. You store your supply, your product. The yellow pages pointed to where they can go find your product. Okay? So, that's how the internet started. Is that how it runs today? Obviously not, because it's blowing your mind. The more you think, anybody thinks about it, it's going to start blowing their mind, because we don't know how it works.
We're going to have an episode on this. I just wrote it down because I need to know more, but
all right.
I'm hurting.
So, when it comes to things, we could build it, but we're lazy, right? And I'm being like, very, I guess I'm being provocative.
Yes. But the people love it.
That's right. They don't. We have other things to worry about, like work, family, hanging out, breakfast bourbons. I don't want to think about connecting my blog to the entire world, right? That's a lot of work.
Right.
So Google, who first was just indexing all of this stuff, I'm saying Google, this has all happened well before Google, but people know Google.
We can say what is it, Ask Jeeves?
Yeah, like even Ask Jeeves, AOL was one of the groundbreaking ones. Anyway, they come and see this like, man, people really don't like hosting their own thing. Well, what if we told them, here's our website, write your blog on our website, and we'll host it, and we'll tell everybody where to point it. That way you don't got to worry about it. All you have to do is write the content, and we'll host it for you. And we'll connect to the internet for you. And Comcast comes along, and they say, well, you can plug to all the computers in your neighborhood, but you can see them. You want to talk to somebody on the other side of the state? Well, we got the wire that connects from this side of the state to that side of the state, or from this state to that state, or from that country to this country. So instead of you having to do it, you could just pay us, and we'll plug all the computers in for you. You don't have to worry about going buying the cable and stuff.
Okay.
And so we end up using Comcast. We end up using Google to search it. We end up using all these centralized services to host it, to do all these other things. The cloud is just, I'm not going to keep it on one computer. I'm going to keep it on a whole bunch of computers. So if one computer breaks, it's still out there. That's the cloud.
That's a little decentralized, but it's like a decentralized, centralized.
Not if I own all the cloud off all the computers.
Yeah, that's
It's still just me, right? So when you use AWS, which is what a huge chunk of the internet is stored on Amazon Web Servers, which means Amazon controls most of the internet now. This is how you take something that was decentralized and make it centralized, right? It's convenience. We're lazy. We have other things to think about. We're lazy. We're righteously lazy, right? It's not like we're lazy just because we're lazy asses. You should be lazy on certain things.
Right.
So, yes. So now when it comes to social media, right, why does Facebook already, or Twitter, X, or TikTok, or whatever, why is it so centralized? Well, are you going to who's going to store all the information? Who's going to put the interface up so you can do all this microblogging?
So are you saying that if I wanted to, I could create my own profile on my own computer and just put that in the share to everyone folder?
Yeah.
And then
just you gotta let everybody know where to find it. You got to somehow announce to the world, if you type this address into a computer, you'll find my blog.
Okay.
Or whatever I'm sharing, my videos, my whatever.
And typing in an address, I am instantly thinking of into the internet address bar. So, like, is that the same thing? Like,
that's the address bar.
Like, they could type in, like, there's an address that takes you straight to my computer's folder.
Yep. So, like, if you try to go to, the blockument.com. Right? The computers don't read that. The computer sees, and you've probably seen this too if you ever had to plug in your internet, your router or something. What the computer sees is 192.376.5.4.3. That's your IP.
Okay.
That's what every website is. It's just a string of numbers. The computer knows what that means, but I'm not going to remember that.
So then why do we buy domains?
So we have a domain because what GoDaddy, a company like GoDaddy is going to do is they're going to say, all right, well, you want a website. We're going to make a domain number for it because you're using their computer. Right, you're serving, or you can point it to your own computer or some other computer, right?
Okay.
But you're just pointing to the computer, like, where do you want this to go? I want this IP address goes to this folder, this file, right? GoDaddy says, all right, people aren't going to remember that. What name would you like? I would like theblockument.com. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take the word theblockument.com
and push it
and tie it to this IP address.
Okay.
And so whenever somebody types in theblockument.com, we'll convert that over to the IP address, and then the computers will start routing to figure out how to get to that information and get it back to whoever asked for it. It's just communicate. It's why it's a communication protocol. It's just computers talking to each other, right?
I have more questions on that, but I don't want to. I'm going to save those for.
So when it comes to social media, before you can start saying we need it decentralized, why isn't it decentralized now? It's decentralized, not decentralized. It's not decentralized now because we are rightfully lazy about wanting to set up these networks. We don't want to go through all that work and hassle and all. That's a lot of friction. I just want to push a button to open up an app, type a message, and have everybody on my network see it. I don't want to manage my network besides saying follow or allow following or whatever. You got a message on our side stream. I don't know if that matters.
Okay. I'm going to click this over here.
Why isn't it decentralized now? It's hard. And so if you're going to say, all right, so do we need decentralized social media? I would say that, do we need it? Yes. But why don't we have it? Because we're lazy.
So how do we have some sort of a convenient way? How do we have some sort of a convenient way to have decentralized social media? Is that possible?
Well, that's the challenge, right? It's like, all right, well, how do you make it not lazy? How do you make it not hard anymore? And so now you have to go backwards to what we used to have. But in doing so, you have to realize why we don't have it in the first place. And so you have a lot of people in the crypto world, right? We're like, well, so let me explain one more thing.
Okay.
The internet is a communication protocol. You don't need a blockchain. You don't need anything special. This is exactly what the internet was built for, to communicate over computers, digital communication, natively digital communication.
Without censorship, or that doesn't matter? They didn't care about that.
Well, no, it was censorship resistant by design.
Okay.
So I'm not saying they didn't care about it, but it's like that was the sort of design. Any two people's peer-to-peer communication.
But now it's not the case.
Well, it's not the case because we've elected as a society, a global society, we've decided we don't want that. I'd rather have censored, centralized communication
because
protocols.
we're lazy.
Because we're lazy. I don't want to think about setting up an email server and monitoring it and building my own spam filters and doing. I don't want to think about all that.
Right.
I just want to send a message and get a message. That's
Right.
it. So I'm going to offshoot that, and by nature, that centralizes it. So Bitcoin comes along, solves a double spend problem, and now you have your first real, fully functional, decentralized digital money. So while the internet, right, is how you can transact messages using the internet or this communication protocols, you can now transfer value over line. You couldn't transfer value before Bitcoin natively,
Okay.
peer to peer. I could only transfer a message. I could say, "Hey Ash, how you doing?" Easy, digital, done. I couldn't say, "Hey Ash, here's $5." I would still need to spend it, give it through PayPal or through some bank, which means the money actually still has to route in the real world someplace.
Okay, so it's not directly peer-to-peer.
It's not peer-to-peer
Okay.
until Bitcoin comes along.
Okay.
Right? And now you have all these cryptos that use the same type of technology to prevent double spends, that you do digitally native money, right? So now people are thinking, all right, cool, that's great for money, but now let's decentralize everything.
Yeah.
Well, some things are already decentralized, so you don't need to, and other things are better not decentralized. They're better centralized, right?
Yeah.
So it's like, all right, let's talk about social media. What's the real problem with having a centralized social media? One of the things you mentioned was owning your content.
Yeah.
Well, first, you can own your content. Run your own damn server. Run your own server. You got a computer at home?
Yeah, but can you connect your server to?
Yes.
For real?
Yes, there are slews and slews and slows of people. I may or may not be one who you could run your own website in your closet. Just put a little computer that you don't use, little 6-year-old computer, throw it in there, connect it to the internet. You would use a Comcast or something or whoever you're using, because you don't want to actually connect all the wires. But yeah, and then boom, your website's running in your closet.
You mean
Done.
like without having to use a GoDaddy?
Well, no, because we've also centralized the name servers.
Okay.
So you could, but the only way I could get to your website is typing in the IP address, the 192 ... whatever, right? If you want a name, you have to use a GoDaddy or a HostGate or something. You have to use a name service provider. But this is where solutions like Color Coins came in. This was, again, the first NFT on Bitcoin. First NFT was on Bitcoin. It was to replace GoDaddy. Now you have ENS on Ethereum, which is like the leader in the space on doing this. So every time you see a .eth name, you're using the Ethereum decentralized network to do your own domain names. And so that will repoint everything. You don't need a GoDaddy anymore. You have this decentralized system.
Right. I feel like the other reason to have a decentralized, I think we said internet, is to be censorship resistant. Or I'm sorry, to be censorship resistant. But I meant to say decentralized social media.
Decentralized social media, well, to be censorship resistant, correct. But then this is why I was asking, what do you mean by decentralized, right? So there are a slew of projects. It's called Decentralized Social,
Okay.
or DESO.
Okay.
DESO. That's the brand. I think there's even a blockchain called itself DESO, and they built their own blockchain for it. So the confusion is, do you need a blockchain to do it? It's already decentralized.
Right.
It can be decentralized. You don't need anything new. We've been able to do decentralized social media since the early 2000s. We figured it out. We knew social media was a thing. We figured it out, right? You don't need a blockchain to do that. And so you have networks like Mastodon and Nostr.
Yeah, that was what.
These are like, Nostr is a popular one. It's not blockchain based. There's no blockchain involved.
So then do they market themselves as being like a crypto decentralized social media? Because that's what
No.
I've heard about.
No, I think you've probably heard about it, and the confusion comes along is the type of people who are into something, because there's not much crypto happening on Nostr. There's Bitcoin happening on Nostr. But Nostr is not a Bitcoin network. It's not a blockchain network. The type of people who are interested in having freedom money are also the type of people who would be interested in having freedom social media, right? And so you see a lot of Bitcoiners flock to Nostr.
Right.
And then
Because they hold
Nostr,
the same value, similar value.
they hold similar values.
Okay.
Nostr is a protocol. It's not a platform. Nostr is not like a Facebook. Like Facebook is a thing, right?
Yeah.
And you go there for social media. Nostr is a protocol. You can build a lot of stuff on Nostr.
What's
It
that
doesn't
mean? It's
have
a
to be a social.
protocol?
It's just this. It's the bare level,
Software?
so you can build on top of it.
So it's software.
It's a core software though. It's not a social media software. It's just a protocol where you can build communication channels on top of it for things. So the
Like,
use
could I
case-
build a communication
Yes.
like me,
Yes.
but actually me?
Yes. I mean, if you wanted to, you'd have to still know some programming and whatnot, so you'd have to
Right.
figure
So-
that out.
so-
But the thing is, the first use case for Nostr was a social media platform.
Okay.
So they built a social media platform and also called it Nostr, and that's the way you communicate. But
Right.
just like I described the internet, that's how Nostr runs. You run your own node. And if you don't share, if you don't connect to other nodes, all you have, you're just in a social media bubble. You're just talking to yourself.
Yeah,
Literally
that's
talking to yourself.
So how do, like, let's say I create a profile where, like, I own it myself, and then how do I let other people see it? Like, other than
That would require a Nostr specific episode.
okay,
But in general, it's
Okay.
similar to running your own crypto node.
right? Okay.
Running your own node. It's the same
Okay.
principle. You get a private key, which allows you to have the encryption part of it all. And then you set up these channels. Just like if you ran your own node, you can run your own node and not connect to the internet. You have no idea what the rest of the world is doing. You don't know what any transactions are happening, right?
Right.
So
Well,
I
what
have
would
to
the
take my
point of
node
that be?
Exactly.
Okay.
I'm running my own node. I want to connect it to other nodes so I can see what everybody's doing, not just
Right.
myself.
Right.
I only care about my node, but I need to see what everybody else is doing so I can be sort of up to date. And Nostr runs the same way. It's just it itself is not on a blockchain. But then since that community, specifically of like Bitcoiners, were the greatest adopters of the platform, they took the capabilities of Nostr, the protocol, and they figured out a way to enable lightning payments. So where on Twitter or Facebook you can hit a like, you can do the same thing on Nostr, but somebody developed this protocol where instead of hitting, not only can you hit a like, you can hit a zap.
And
I can
send-
just send you some lightning network. I can send
So
you
that
some
was
sats.
kind of where another portion of this is
Right.
like,
But that's not because it's built on a blockchain. It's because it's a decentralized protocol that uses the power of this other technology, Bitcoin, in it. Right?
Yeah.
And I think that's where a lot of places, so when you say, like, do we need decentralized social media? Yes. We need decentralized a lot of things, especially when it comes to communication and transacting. We don't have it, though, because we don't really want it. Because we don't want to think about all the things it takes to do it. Or we have to figure out why we don't have it, and then sort of backwards engineer it to add less friction to the pieces that were friction. So Nostr allows you to do your own social media node where you control your identity and your content without needing to go through all the steps that we did with the internet of having to run your own server. You still have to sort of run your own thing. You don't have to. You can centralize it. Most people who use it on their mobile phones, right?
Yeah.
Matter of fact, like I have an iPhone, and so the Nostr, a company who created access to the Nostr network through my iPhone, right? Apple's like, look, you guys do zaps.
yeah.
That's sending money. We want 30%. And we're like, well, that's not how this works. And
Yeah.
they're like, we don't care. And they were going to take the entire platform down, right?
yeah.
Unless they cut Apple in on Zap. So what they had to do is, in their version of the app, there is no Zap feature. You can't
Oh my
zap
gosh.
using the app. But that's because that part, Nostr is decentralized.
Right.
But the way I access it, because I don't want to, I'm using the iPhone, so
Right.
there's a bunch of stuff I don't want to do. But if I was using the Android, I could then work around that because A, they have different policies, but I can always flash it. Or I could take my iPhone and jailbreak it.
Okay.
Right? And then I could run a client.
I was going to say, do you, this is like a strong question kind of, but do you foresee Bitcoiners, people who want freedom money moving away from Apple if they're going to be doing that to some of these things that were...
Yeah, but you got to make a really strong case. Like I've been trying to, if you can see, I have a MacBook computer, I got an Apple Watch, I'm Appled out, right?
Right.
It's very convenient for my lifestyle.
Because you're lazy.
Because I'm lazy. And as much as sort of it's a moral dilemma for me for years now.
Yeah.
Because every time it comes time for me to upgrade computers, phones, all of that, I'm like, I'm leaving the system. I'm going totally not Apple.
Right.
But then I look at what the options are, and it's like, damn, my life's going to get so much less convenient once I swap off of this.
Even if like you did like a Android like computer.
Yeah. Because it's not Apple Apple doesn't pay me jack, but in my experience, it's the Mercedes of things. On top of, I've been using their products for 20 years. So for me to leave this ecosystem, the incentive has to be so great, right? Now, I'm doing my social experiment next year where I'm going to do everything I can to live a totally peer-to-peer. So I have to have alternatives. Like my core work, I can't just give up on everything. I'm no trillionaire over here and stuff. I'm not so I still need to use certain things for my core work. But yeah, anything social I do, anything that's any new businesses start up, it has to be a peer-to-peer thing, which means I can't use Apple. So are you going
to get a second laptop and a second phone?
I'm going to need a second everything, yep. I can't use I can't use a carrier. I can't use something like Verizon or T-Mobile.
Oh my gosh, you need to make that a document.
Well, I'm working with somebody who does these mini documentaries for a living. We haven't formally figured it all out yet, but we are working on documenting the whole thing. So, we're going to document the whole process so we can show people, if you really want a decentralized everything, this is what living a decentralized everything looks like. Here's where it's easier than we thought. Here's where it's harder than we thought. These are the real life friction points. Because it's really easy to tell people, oh man, you want to use freedom money, go use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
All right, cool. But now go use Bitcoin.
Yeah.
It's not as hard as some people would make you think, but it's definitely not as easy as people make you think.
Yeah. Yeah, or that's not as easy as using like your Visa.
Yeah, I mean, technically, yes, it is. But you got to think about Visa. Credit cards came out in the 60s. People didn't start using credit cards until the late 80s or 90s.
Wait, did I send you that TikTok of the when the credit cards first came out and the guy was using it and they interviewed a guy watching this other guy using it. He's like, these are ridiculous. They're not going to be around a long time. This is just crazy talk.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? Yeah. I tell people about this all the time, like AI now. We got all these LLMs and chat GPTs. People will be like, well, Bitcoin failed or this crypto project failed. It's been 10 years. Nobody's using it. They've been working on AI since the 60s or 50s. I mean, before that, but I think the real pushes started in the 50s. It's 2023.
Yeah.
We're going on 70, 80 years of AI. It just caught on.
Yeah.
Right? Because sometimes you got to have these full things. Do we need decentralized social media? Yes, I think we need decentralized anything that comes to peer-to-peer. But are we ready for it?
Yeah, and also, what would it look like? Would a decentralized social media have no ads? Or
these are all the issues, right? So we know what the benefits, right? Own your own content. The version I like, the angle I like the most is not just owning your own content, but owning your identity. And this is where decentralized IDs sort of come into play, right? If even on Nostr, you can get blacklisted. It's still a node situation, right? So it's not censorship free. It's more censorship resistant than a Twitter. You don't have one entity that can just shut you off. But but it becomes harder. So we have to figure out how to do really decentralized IDs before we can really start talking about the rest of this stuff. I don't think we need it on a blockchain at all. You might use a blockchain. You can utilize a blockchain just like Nostr does. It utilizes the Bitcoin blockchain layer 2, Lightning, to enable micropayments.
For the zaps. But Nostr doesn't need a blockchain. I don't think there's any reason why you need a social media platform that has to be built entirely on a blockchain. Well, then the other thing that like I was thinking about when I was driving here is like, okay, right now the incentive for content creators is like, all right, I'm a content creator, like you don't have to pay me because you're watching me. Let the big business, let the big corporation pay me, right? Now, is it like a benefit or not a benefit to then take away the ads so that the big corporation is now paying the content creator, but now it falls into your hand? It's kind of like a tipping situation where like the restaurant's not paying a livable wage, and now it's up to the customer to
make it up.
Yeah.
Right. And then how do you think that's going to work? It's like with all these things, it's about reducing friction, not increasing friction. This is user interface, which is commonly referred to as UX, user experience 101. It needs to be frictionless. If you have to do more than one step, you're already losing people. So how do you do this? Now, if you want to do like the payments, all right, cool. You're doing decentralized social media. I want to enable payments, even on a Nostr situation. It ain't like I just started a Nostr account, which already isn't frictionless because it's just like starting any other crypto account. You got to get your 12-word phrase and write back up your seed, and you've already broken most people's brains.
But if you think about like MySpace, like you had to like do a little coding and get your thing to look cute, but people still did it.
No, I'm not saying people won't do it. It was frictiony. Well, what's MySpace doing now?
Yeah, exactly. I don't know. We can ask Tom.
Yeah. This CSS stuff is cute and all, but is that really why you're here?
Yeah.
And no, that's not why people were there.
Yeah.
And so Facebook ate MySpace's lunch.
Yeah.
Right? And then other platforms come along and make it even more simple and are eating Facebook's lunch.
So we're basically devolving is what you're telling me.
Well, yeah, it's about UX, and you can't make a system more complex than it already is. How am I going to get everybody off of Facebook by making a more complex system that doesn't offer anything better in benefits? Oh, you can do direct payments. Yeah. Well, for the average user, that's what Cash App does for them. Yeah. That's what Apple Pay does for them.
What about if we sell it to them? And I say we, it's just, I don't know who that is, but we sell it to them like as like freedom. People like freedom.
No, they don't. They vote to reduce their freedoms every day. Every country,
that's true.
Every population, and the most democratic of populations in the world, every day vote to reduce their own freedoms, and then never fight to get them back.
Could that be an episode too?
If you want,
I have lots of questions.
Yeah. So no, we don't give a crap about privacy. We don't care about freedom. We don't care about decentralization. We as society. There's a few people who fight for it, and that's all it really takes is a few people.
I feel like we do like freedom, but we like community better, and so when like an authority person is telling us that everybody else is doing it.
Well, I'm not saying we don't like it. We just don't care about it. I like the idea of it. The average Joe likes the idea of freedom. They hate the reality of freedom because freedom means, right? It's like more freedom of speech. Well, it's like freedom of speech. Everybody cries about freedom of speech when it's their speech.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I need freedom of speech. Wait, why are you saying that?
Yeah.
Well, I thought you liked freedom of speech.
Yeah. Do you think it comes down, well, that's a whole other topic, but I was going to say, do you think it's because people like don't understand that they need to look at all different perspectives? But that's a whole other.
Well, that's how social media is derived. But this is the other reason we need social media, decentralized social media, because if you get it to a point that if you get it to a Bitcoin type of point, right, where it's really decentralized and open source, you get to empower the algorithms. You don't have a small subset group of people building these algorithms with the intent to build engagement so they can sell you ads.
Right.
Right. that becomes open source, and we as a society get to decide how we want those algorithms built. And we might decide to push down negative content and push up positive content. That's sort of the incentive model, is just not as simple as letting people pay for likes or whatever. Because then you're still incentivized for engagement. It just doesn't work, and people don't want to go through those extra steps. They've been trying, like, again, do we need decentralized social media? I think yes. And I think Nostr is the best example of what we have so far of what that looks like. We don't need blockchain-based decentralized social media.
Where do you go to get Nostr? Do you just like Nostr.com?
Yeah, because this is I don't know how open source. I don't know about Nostr's open source situation. I don't know if it's open source or not.
Like if it's owned by one person?
Yeah, the some of the code, you can download the software and start their own node, but I don't know if that software is open source software. So you might not be able to see the core code, which means I don't know if you could do a Nostr fork. Maybe you can. I have zero idea.
Maybe you could tell us.
I've been waiting on really taking my Nostr journey until I start my whole peer-to-peer journey, which I'm beginning to set up right after Thanksgiving this year. So
okay.
Once Thanksgiving's over, then I start all the setup and start prepping for my new life in January. Oh, it's going to be hard.
Oh my gosh. I really hope that you like document it with videos.
We are. No, that's it's. I'm hoping to work with a popular content provider so we can make it big, and then one day I'll make it a TED Talk. Yeah. We'll see. So yeah, that's it. So you tell me, from everything you've heard today, do we need decentralized social media?
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Well, there you go. There's the answer to your question. Yes.
Yeah, but it leads to so many more questions and so many more show topics. So stay tuned, folks.
There it is. Stay tuned. And
I feel like we need to like backtrack it a little and kind of get like a little bit deeper. Like you did a pretty good job of explaining like the internet and stuff like that, but I feel like it's such a like new brain breaking thing that I'm hearing, like when you told me about money, and like how money actually works and what it actually is. Yeah, it's like I need like a couple more conversations about it to kind of understand, because it broke my brain. Yeah,
this is why we still learn math. Calculators are cool and all, but if you just don't get why 1 + 1 equals 3, then you'll never know. You don't know if the calculator's doing you justice or not. So until then, how can they keep in touch and follow and learn more?
You can keep in touch on Facebook. Facebook at The Blockument, Twitter or X at The Blockument, TikTok at The Blockument, YouTube, The Blockument, all of these centralized social medias.
So we're going to have a Nostr by next year, by January.
Yes, it's on your journey, right? Yep. So we'll have a Nostr.
Yep, that'll be it. All right, so until then, and check us out on blockument.com, and until then.
Oh my gosh!
Come for the decentralized social media and stay for the revolution. Peace.